Welcome to the Treasure Hunters Training Academy. I am Detectorist Debbie and will be your lecturer for this course. This course is designed for the novice user and will cover all the basic aspects to give you the knowledge on the fundamentals of metal detecting and how most metal detectors operate. On completion of this course, you will have a much better understanding on how to operate a metal detector and be able to find those elusive treasures lying beneath the ground. Let's get started. This lesson will focus on the basic parts that make up a metal detector. This is the control box, which is like the brains of the detector. This is where the processing of all the signals and information happens, as well as where you will interact with the machine to change any settings. Not all metal detectors have screens, some will just have buttons to adjust settings, but if yours does have a screen, then this is where all the information will be displayed to you. Whether your machine has a screen or not, there will be ways to try and understand what the machine is trying to tell you once you have found a target. We will cover this in a later lesson. The coil of the detector comes in different shapes and sizes. It connects to the control box via the coil wire, which sends the signal from the coil to the control box. Underneath the coil is another protective plastic in the same shape as the coil, known as the coil cover or skid plate. This is to protect the coil against accidental bumps and scratches. The shafts can come in many different forms. Most detectors will have an upper and lower shaft which join together to create a length suitable for the user's height. The lower shaft connects to the coil, while the upper shaft connects to the control box. The arm cuff is found at the end of the shaft and supports your arm while holding the detector. The assembled detector will look similar to this, where the coil wire is wrapped neatly around the shaft. The coil wire should not be wrapped too tight or too loose around the shaft, as this could cause some false signals while detecting. Sensitivity is a very important aspect to understand when metal detecting. This is the one setting that you will more than likely use the most, as you will need to change this setting for different ground conditions you come across when detecting. The reason for needing to change the sensitivity setting is to keep your machine running stable for your current location. You may be in an area that is close to electricity wires, mobile phone towers, train tracks, or some other interference which your machine will pick up and cause it to misbehave with erratic noises. You may also be in an area of high ground mineralization where your machine is giving you false signals. In all these scenarios, you need to lower the sensitivity until your machine becomes stable and usable. Although you always want to run your sensitivity as high as possible, you need to configure the machine to run more stable. So in most real-world scenarios, running at full sensitivity is not usually possible. Lower the sensitivity one notch at a time until the machine runs stable, and then leave it on that setting until you move locations or need to change it again. Lowering the sensitivity too low for the current conditions will result in loss of depth, so although the machine may be behaving, you might be missing targets. So always try and run it as high as possible for that location. To change the sensitivity setting on your machine, it's usually a case of just turning the button selector to the correct setting, or more commonly, an up and down arrow on the control box. Press the up arrow to increase the sensitivity, or press the down arrow to decrease it. Your machine will usually display the current sensitivity setting on the screen. If there is no button on the control box, you may have to go into the settings menu of your machine and change it there.